Well, let me ask you because you bring up a interesting point. You're a native New Yorker. Affordable housing is something that's a very big topic these days,
Right.
and the rent has skyrocketed over the last decade. I think the average Manhattan rent is like close to $4,000 right now for one bedroom,
It's too
and a
much.
lot of those programs that you described that you grew up in have been taken away. So, what's your thoughts on affordability in the city of New York?
Well, it's very hard to find. I mean, in so many ways, we're just being priced out of everywhere. It's very difficult for anybody to find a quality of lifestyle. It's hard. I think about, I hear this from so many people and so many young people just starting their careers and wanting to figure out, like, I love this city. I want to stay in this city, but I got to live like 6 hours away to be able to do anything. So
Mhm.
it's unfortunate. It's definitely unfortunate. And I feel like this is such a great example of what can come of affordable housing.
Well, that's what I wanted because I think you are actually an advocate almost for because you said it was a building for artists, right?
Yeah, really, it was specifically for artists, and I think my mother explained that also they had to have 30% of people from that particular neighborhood or that currently lived in the neighborhood as well, which is also important because then people come from all over, but
Mhm.
those in the neighborhood don't get the same opportunity. So that's something to think of. We see that in Harlem, we see that in Brooklyn.
Right.
So much of that
Well, because
regentrification.
it's important because it's like let's say for instance you were not able to live in that building, right? And you had to grow up in Connecticut or some other place, right? Now you never might not have become who you became. And now you're actually contributing to the economy of the city now, right? So now it's a full circle moment
That's a
by
fact.
you actually are somebody that had benefited from that affordable housing situation. Because a lot of times people don't have sympathy. They're like, if you can't afford to live here, then don't move here. But it's like
Yeah,
if we take away
my
if we take
fault.
away the artists, if we take away the creatives, if we take away people that might not have the finances to pay $4,000 a month, then we actually are hurting the whole ecosystem, right? And I think, like I said, you're actually a perfect example of that because you're a native child who actually not only became extremely successful, but now you have a play on Broadway and now millions of dollars being generated.
That's a fact. That's such a huge point, and being able to have that experience, being able to grow up close to different creative cultural places, experiencing different styles of art forms, having that access, it changes it. It changes your experience, it changes your relationship with it, it changes what you can imagine for yourself, what you could dream for yourself. I mean, growing up on 10th Avenue, it was so bleak and it was so drastically different from just walking 2 avenues over or 3 avenues over that 7th or 8th, which had those Broadway lights and the life and and so I think that that's definitely a big thing that I note a lot, like the experience, the access, the opportunity came from the access to seeing different possibilities, and so I agree, we can't box people out of the learning, of the education, of the access. Another thing Hell's Kitchen has done is we created a fellowship program to bring the young people who normally wouldn't be in the space of set design or costume design. And all of these pieces are the director fellow, the choreography fellow from Camille Brown, Michael Greif, who's one of the best directors, ever in the Broadway space. So people get to learn under the greats. Chris Diaz, the book writer. So it's really part of what we're talking about is access. We're talking about welcoming people into spaces where we belong and giving the opportunity to learn and so that we can diversify what we're seeing and so we can contribute back
Yeah.
to the culture of the city. And I think that's exactly right. And that's the only way it happens when you have access like
Yeah.
that.